Building a machine that meets UK compliance requirements is essential for safety, legal, conformity and market access. However, the process can be complex and overwhelming with multiple layers of legislation and standards to consider. Well, today I'm with Mr. Mark Staples of EUCHNER to help demystify this whole process. So Mark, why is it crucial for manufacturers to ensure machinery compliance from the very start, and what are the risks of getting it wrong?
The main risk of getting it wrong is that we have a legal framework in the UK, and there is a key legal requirement under the supply machine safety regulations to provide a safe and compliant machine.
So it's the law?
It's the law.
Okay, and we can't argue with that?
We can't argue with that.
Okay.
We can try to, but we can't argue with that.
All right, absolutely. Can you give an overview of UK machinery compliance requirements and standards?
Of course, yes. So I mentioned the supply machine safety regulations. So if you're a machine builder, you're building a machine, you have to satisfy that legal requirement. There are a framework of standards depending on what type of machine you're looking to build. So very specific standards or generic standards that help you claim compliance to the supply machine safety regulations. One of the key standards, they're not a legal requirement by the way, but one of the key standards is an A-type standard, EN ISO 12100, which is a risk assessment.
Okay, so we need to do this because it is actually part and parcel of what should be done on every occasion.
It is. So unless you do a risk assessment, you do not know what safeguarding measures you need to employ on your machine.
Right.
You can use tried and tested principles, or we've always done it this way, but unless you establish what the hazards are and what the risks of that hazard can present, you don't know how to risk reduce.
Okay, well, that's very straightforward. That's very clear cut.
It is.
So what are the key steps manufacturers should take to ensure full compliance before bringing a machine to market? And perhaps if you could give us some real world examples.
So it does start at the design stage. So engaging the team around that, what is this machine being asked to do? What's its purpose? Okay, and getting the key stakeholders involved. And that's not necessarily the manufacturer of the machine, it's the user of the machine, because the amount of times it's cleaned, it's maintained, can change depending on the environment that it's in and the way that it's used. Okay, so it goes back to the risk assessment. That risk assessment should identify what hazards there are on this machine to make this particular piece of equipment or this particular part. From then, you determine how frequently are areas accessed. Okay, because we might need to protect people from horrible hazards that can chop things off and potentially kill you. And that's when your risk assessment steps up a notch, because then you're looking at, okay, I need to put a guard in front of this horrible spinning round object, but putting a guard in front of it may restrict its operation, because I might need to get in there to clean it, or I might need to get in there to do some maintenance. So I need to provide an access point through that guard. And that's when engagement with the team, the designs teams, the electrical engineers all need to be part of that. Because mechanically it might work, but electrically we might need to employ some measures to make sure that it's safe when I open it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so really then there's a key point there, that unless you know what the risks are, you can't really ensure that it's done properly until the whole complete assessment is done.
That's correct. So risk assessment, identify the hazards. What's the risk that those hazards will cause to people's health and safety? Risk reduce. We start with a guard. You might not always be able to protect with a guard, so that's when the other safeguarding measures come in. There's a lot of standards there that help you as a designer comply.
Okay. Now, people are going to be watching this and they're going to be thinking about this and taking it up, because we're talking about protecting people's lives and protecting them from injury, but at the same time, aren't you just there to sell them product? No,
that's not the essence of EUCHNER. We are here to ensure people are kept safe and that they return home in the same condition that they went to work in. And to do that is quite a task. Okay? So yes, we manufacture product, but we give advice, we train, because we're passionate about people having the knowledge and understanding the legislation, because it is complex. It can be complex. There's lots of facets. There's lots of things to consider. And for us, it's about the education.
Okay. So where do viewers start? Where's the first place for them to go?
So they can approach any one of the team. The advice is free. We do not charge for our advice, our engagement. We are happy to talk about applications and guide the customer. We have a website with all of this information on, but you can pick the phone up, contact the sales team and speak to people, and that person will give you advice.
Okay. Well, that's really quite encouraging, and also from the point of view of someone checking out and making sure that what they are doing is safe, that seems to make abundant sense to me. Mark, thanks so much for sharing your experience on machinery compliance. I think we can all acknowledge that navigating regulations and standards can be challenging, but with the right approach, engineers can design machines that are both safe and market ready. So if you're watching this and you'd like to find out more, scan the QR code that's on the video screen at the moment, and why not contact EUCHNER and the team here. As they've said, there is no cost for asking a question, but there could be potentially very, very significant benefits from doing so. Thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.